Today we reflect on a passage from the writings of Saint Isaac the Syrian concerning fasting, vigilance, and spiritual warfare in the Christian life. This text is taken from a treatise written for monks, recluses, and all those seeking the narrow path through prayer, self-denial, and perseverance. The disciple asked, "If a man has thrown away all impediments and entered the arena, what is the beginning of his struggle against sin, and where does he begin to fight?" The teacher answered, "All struggle against sin and its desires must first be preceded by fasting, especially when a man battles inward sin. And the visible sign of hatred towards sin in those engaged in this invisible warfare is this: they begin with fasting. Afterwards comes standing during the night. He who throughout his life loves fasting becomes a friend of chastity. For the beginning of the holy way of God and of every virtue is founded upon fasting. Fasting is the strengthening of every virtue, the father of prayer, the fountain of stillness, the teacher of quietness, and the forerunner of every good work. As healthy eyes delight in light, so the soul that fasts with discernment naturally longs for prayer. For as soon as a man begins to fast, his mind desires communion with God. A fasting body cannot easily remain asleep throughout the night, for fasting awakens vigilance toward God. Though the body weakens, the mind remains awake in prayer. It is better to neglect service because of weakness caused by fasting than because of heaviness and indolence caused by food. Experience itself teaches every man that fasting is the fountain of all good things. As long as fasting seals a man's mouth, his heart pours forth prayer. For fasting makes a man an enemy of passions and idle distractions. Never has there been seen a man who fasted with discernment and became enslaved to evil desire. Since mankind first fell through food, those who seek the fear of God begin their struggle at that very place where the first wound was received. And our Savior himself, after his baptism at the Jordan, was led into the wilderness, where he fasted 40 days and 40 nights. All who follow his steps establish the beginning of their struggle upon this foundation. This weapon was fashioned by God himself. Before this, mankind had not yet known victory over Satan, but through fasting the enemy was overthrown, and the first victory was won. And whenever Satan sees this weapon in the hands of a man, fear immediately falls upon him. For what weapon is stronger than hunger endured for Christ's sake? To the degree that the body is humbled and wearied, the heart is strengthened with confidence before God. And he who remains in this struggle burns with zeal. Constant fasting is the sign of fervor and spiritual warfare. Even the prophet Elijah restrained himself from food for 40 days in the wilderness. He who despises fasting will also become weak in every other virtue. For he has cast aside the weapon through which the saints obtained victory. His members are not clothed with the fire of hunger through which the mind learns endurance and remains unmoved before hardship. It is said of many holy martyrs that before receiving the crown, they spent the entire night awake in prayer, hymns, and spiritual songs. And we also, my brethren, must remain continually prepared for the hidden martyrdom, guarding ourselves with the armor of God. For without labor, no man receives the crown. As the teacher Diodorus says, it would be shameful to expect righteousness without suffering or toil, while merchants gain earthly riches only through labor and storms. Thank you for listening. If this passage gave you something to reflect on, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy readings and texts like these, I invite you to join this growing community. Until next time.